Alright, today we're going to be talking about equivalent fractions. The Common Core standard we're looking at today is 5NF.1, replacing given fractions with equivalent fractions. And the objective is students will be able to write equivalent fractions. A fraction names a certain part of a whole. Any number of fractions can name the same part of a whole. Equivalent fractions are fractions that have different numerators, top number, and a different denominator, which is the bottom number, but name the same amount. So if you look at this picture here, I have three different pictures of pizzas. And you'll notice that there's the same amount of pizza in all of these. However, the difference is that they are represented differently by a different number of fractions and pieces. So 1/2 would be basically saying there were two pieces of pizza, or two slices, and there's only one left and one is gone. So that's why there's 1/2. The 2 represents the total amount of pieces there were, and the 1 represents how much was left. If we look at 2/4, again, 1, 2, 3, 4, the 4 represents how many pieces there were, and the 2 represents how many are left. And finally, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The 8 again represents how many pieces there were, and the 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, represents how many are left over. Again, they're represented in different ways by fractions, but you can tell there is the exact same amount of pizza with a half, 2/4, and 4/8. And it says, even though the pizza have different amounts of slices left, the amount of pizza is the same. And that's what an equivalent fraction is. So how to find equivalent fractions? One way is you can multiply both the numerator, the top number, and the denominator, the bottom number, by the same number. So for example, if we were trying to find an equivalent fraction, we could multiply the top by 2 and the bottom by 2. And that would get us 20/30. You can really pick any number except 0, 1 to find an equivalent fraction as long as you multiply by the top and the bottom number. I just picked 2 because it's easy to multiply 10 times 2 and 10 times 15. It would just be harder if I did 10 times 20 on top and 15 times 20 on top. So I just like to do smaller numbers. So if we did it again, I could pick another number, and this time I'll pick 3. Multiply the top and bottom by 3. And we get 30/45. And again, all of these, 20/30, 30/45, and 10/15 are all equal and are considered equivalent fractions. Another way 2, again, pause the video, make sure you're looking at pausing and writing down these ways. You can divide both the numerator and the denominator by the same non-zero number if they can be divided evenly. So this is what you want to do. You want to ask yourself, what number can be divided evenly in both 10 and 15? So pause the video and think about that and kind of just write down your answer in your notes. What number can be divided evenly in both 10 and 15? All right, hopefully you paused the video and tried that. The correct answer is 5 can be divided in by both 10 and 15. Ten divided by 5 is 2. 15 divided by 5 is 3. So in another equivalent fraction of 10/15 is 2/3. So that's just another way. You can divide the top and the bottom by the same non-zero number if they can be divided evenly. Or what you can do is multiply by the top and bottom number the same. So it says, write two fractions. I just want you to pause the video and try to do these on your own. I want you to do each one, but I want you to multiply one, and then I want you to divide one. So for 14/35, I want you to do one way where it's multiplication and one way where it's division. So try way 1 and way 2 and pause the video and do that now for 14/35 and 3/9. All right, hopefully you paused the video and we'll just do the multiple and we'll go over these together. Hopefully you found some equivalent fractions. Again, yours might not be the exact same, but as long as you multiply the top and the bottom number by the same amount, you'll get an equivalent fraction that equals 14/35. Again, I like to just keep it easy, so I'm going to multiply by 2 as one of my equivalents. And so I would get 28. 14 times 2 is 28. 35 times 2 is 70. I would get 28/70. That would be 1 equivalent fraction. Way 2, I would think of again a number that can divide by that divides by 35 and 14, which is 7. Divided by 7. Divided by 7. So in this case, 14 divided by 7 is 2. And then 35 divided by 7 is 5. So again, 2/5, 14/35, and 28/70 are all equivalent fractions. And let's try the one over here. Again, I like to keep it simple, so I'm just going to multiply the top and bottom by 2 again. You might have multiplied by 5, which would be fine, or 4. It doesn't really matter as long as you do the same for the top as you do for the same for the bottom. So 3 times 2 is 6. 9 times 2 is 18. So 3/9 and 6/18 are equivalent fractions. And another one you could do is you could divide the top and bottom by 3. So we'll divide by 3 here. 3 divided by 3 gets us 1. 9 divided by 3 gets us 3. So some equivalent fractions for 3/9 is 1/3, 3/9, and 6/18. And that is how you divide equivalent fractions. Again, if you're having a hard time with this, just pause the video and try doing this again and rewatch the video.